Thank you. Next is Jack Smale, who comes from a long line of Smales that you've enjoyed over the years. And I'm really glad we have another one coming up. Right there. And a lovely Campbell family. And whenever we talk about Jack, there's one word that comes up, and it's called solid. Everything he does is solid. Solid effort, solid work, solid follow through. Everything is solid. And I thought it so interesting that he's interested in going to engineering school, because don't you want the engineers that do stuff for us, like make bridges and stuff, to do really solid work? I'm very glad. I think they're very lucky to get him. And he's also been one of our great, super enthusiastic basketball players. And he's going to share with us today another beautifully solid thing he did.
My name is Jack Smale, and for my senior project, I built a garden bench and did relief wood carving. I decided to do my project because I've always enjoyed working with wood and had numerous opportunities while here at Hoffman Valley School during the various arts projects to work with wood. And last year, at the beginning of 11th grade, I had an arts block with Mr. Cronin, where we began building the wooden boat, which you can see outside when you walk outside. And I had a great time learning how to use many of the different tools. And I decided kind of at that point that I really wanted to continue working with wood and do woodworking for my senior project. So I began talking with friends and family and discussing possible projects which I could take on and possible mentors which I could have who would work with me. So in May, at the end of 11th grade in May, I went to visit a cabinet maker in Connecticut who I kind of spoke to and told him about senior projects and what time I had, and we discussed together what I would have time to complete, and I began with him to make the beginnings of the drawings. And at the same time, I decided instead of just working with machines, I wanted to do something more artistic at the same time. So I also decided I wanted to do wood carving along with making a bench. I did very little work during the summer. Didn't really think about my project until October when I realized I really had to get going, otherwise I wouldn't manage to finish my project. So I asked Kersti Young, the woodworker in Camp Hill Village, if he would be my mentor, and he accepted, although he said he didn't have much experience with wood carving. So I decided to ask Carl Wolf if he would help me with the wood carving, because he's had a little experience with that, and he accepted as well. So I began making detailed drawings of my bench and how I wanted it to look, and began designing it. I didn't do any actual work on the bench until the Christmas break, when I started by drawing a one-to-one drawing of the side of my bench, which I could then measure all of my pieces from. And so I started cutting out my pieces and getting to work. When Kerst went away, I didn't do anything on my carving until February when Kerst went away. He went on vacation for a month. So then I began meeting with Carl and making drawings and doing some practice pieces, practicing carving. And we came up with a design. I'll show you some pictures of the design. The barn and silo, which you'll see, I took from a design which I found online, and I did some practice pieces with. And I decided I wanted to have that in my final piece. And then around it, I just made a landscape. I drew a landscape which I thought would match it and go nicely with it. So I began carving every day. I set up my carving in my room so that I could carve whenever I had a few minutes free and just sit down, because I was short on time at that time. So when Kerst came back in March, I began working on the bench, and fitting everything together and making the tenon joints. And now I'd like to show some slides. So this is the beginning. This is the one-to-one drawing of the side of my bench, which I could then measure all of my pieces from and cut them out. These are the 2 pieces of ash, which I then cut the side of my bench from. And that's then cut, and I've made some measurements for the tenon joints, the holes for the tenon joints. Here I'm using a square drill to cut the tenon holes. And this is why I've cut out the pieces to the side of the legs and the armrest, and you can see the brace with a seat on the side using a bandsaw. Working on the tenon joints to fit the bench together, the sides together. And this is it. It's coming together slowly. Then I began work on the back, and you can't really see it in this picture, but maybe if we go to the next one. You can see all the holes, which I used, again, the square drill to make holes for the slats to go into for the back of the bench. Here's using the sander to sand pieces. And I'm making the holes for the tenons to go into to connect the back to the sides. And now I'm just working on the tenons. I used the bandsaw, the table saw, and I just used a large blade to cut away quite a bit of wood. You can see on the next slide. It's slowly coming together. So I kind of forgot to take slides for a bit, so take pictures for a bit, so it's skipped a while. I've cut out all of my slats and made everything so it fits together. Now, and I've also, you can see underneath the slats over there, I've glued my carving onto the back of the backboard. So next, this is it in gluing. And I'm measuring out the boards for the seat. On the seat was the only place I actually used any screws, which I then covered up with dowels. Should be able to see. So, and this is the carving. This is the drawing which I did for the carving. And I took pictures after every day of carving to see the progress I'd made, and there's a few of them here. Just transferred it onto the wood. That's where I made a mistake. That in there, I chipped, there was a knot there, and I chipped out too much, so I had to fill it in with another piece of wood. And that's completed. And now all I had to do was sand it and begin varnishing. There's the varnishing bench. wood shop. It was great to have that opportunity. Not too many people have a large wood shop right next to them, which they can go to almost all the time. So that was really great, and I learned things which I've seen that wood shop there for 9 years, ever since I've lived in Camp Hill Village. And I've always wanted to do woodworking, but never made myself find the time to do it. So, and I learned to use all the big machines, big woodworking machines, which I've always wanted to do. And I also, with my project, I had the experience of working with more detailed wood carving, which is something which I wanted to do as well, because I didn't want to just work with big machines and that's it, leave it there. So it was nice to do two things together. So I'd like to thank my two mentors, Kersta Young and Carl Wolf, for helping me out and teaching me everything and how to use the machines and different carving techniques and giving me advice on what to do. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank my friends and family for supporting me throughout the whole entire process and taking pictures and trying to get me to take pictures so thank you. And I'd also like to thank the school for giving me this opportunity. I know I probably would have never done this if it hadn't been for the time given to me. And it's been a great experience, so thank you.